Yeah, what up? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another video. So before we get started, you already know what to do. Make sure you smash the like button, all right? Make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Drop your boy a comment and let's get into it. So I was watching The Black Authority yesterday, and I think that everybody should watch the replay of that live stream that Jason Black did yesterday, because I'm just like completely in awe. So sometimes when I watch a larger YouTuber and I see them do like a video about a story, I know a lot of the people that subscribe to my channel, YouTube is such a big place, they might have not seen it. So if it's something that I think is real relevant, I'll try to dive into that topic a little bit more, because it's just kind of insane. You know what I'm saying? And I saw this and I was like, wow, this issue needs to be like super duper unpacked, because there's a lot here. So I'm going to try to do that very briefly here. This individual right here, Sia Marie Zong, if you take a look at her, you will notice that she has a lot of African American features. Now that's not all. This is an article from the Los Angeles Times, and this is some very odd stuff. And this is the issue. This is along the lines of the issue with Kenya Moore, Rachel Dolezal, all of this stuff where you have everyone else defining who black people are, and black people don't even get to define who black people are. And then you have an older generation of black people who are completely clueless and mixed up. So, it's really difficult. You don't even really have like a solid, community of past generation people to, give you guidance. And, my thing is, some of them did the best that they could. I'm not criticizing everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, my parents did the best that they could, but they made mistakes. And I'm sure I'm currently making mistakes with my kids. You know what I'm saying? But let's actually just get into this. So basically what's going on here is this woman here, Sia Marie Long, she was the victim of a shooting. All right. And her family, the family that is the most visible, wants this crime to be looked at in terms of a AAPI hate crime. The only problem is that her visible family is black. Yeah, let that digest for a minute. Like, her visible family is black, but they want this to be looked into as a AAPI hate crime. I'm kind of shocked by that. This is along the same lines of all the white people in outrage when you called a guy who did the shooting in Colorado a white guy. I mean, he's Syrian, and everybody knows that in the case of DOE versus the United States, that case made Syrian Christian immigrants white for nationalization purposes. But we literally have people just denying what the hell is going on. There's colorism issues that exist in the Asian American community. They don't accept Asian Americans who are biracial, mixed with black and white, as Asian. That's the reason why you see the involvement and the prominence of her black family in the news, doing all of the interviews as a result of her death. And the fact that you have the older generation of like black people who are like completely clueless to this is just very sad, man. And it's very damaging, and it's something that's damaging for the rest of us. So let's actually get into this article. All right. So it says, Los Angeles Times, family of shooting victim calls for hate crime investigation. And this is Sia Marie Zong, who was killed on Saturday in Compton. So you got to ask, like, people that live in California know what's up with Compton. What was she doing in Compton? You know what I mean? Like, we all know what she was doing in Compton. You know what I'm saying? Either one of two things that begins with the letter D. You know what I'm saying? So here it says, Sia Marie Zong was identified Sunday as the victim of a fatal shooting in Compton, and the family is calling for the 28-year-old's death to be investigated as a possible hate crime amid recent violence against Asian Americans. The only problem is that she has a whole set of DNA codons that have nothing to do with Asian American. She has some, but not all of them. A spokeswoman for the sheriff's department says Young's death is not believed to be a hate crime. Well, anytime there's black involved, including if it's in your DNA, it can't possibly be a hate crime. We have that evidence from when the 5 Senegalese people were burned alive by the white and Asian individual in Colorado. So this is a very slippery slope that we're going down. We're going down a path of it's not possible to commit a hate crime against black people. So that means that, guess what? We're about to be the victims of a whole wave of hate crimes. So to all of my melanated brothers and sisters out there, I would advise you to go to your nearest local black-owned gun and armory shop and get your CCW and get you a legal gun, because you're gonna have people coming after you left and right. And when they kill you, they're gonna turn around and say the same thing, you know, that we say. Well, we can't be racist. We killed a black person. It wasn't a hate crime. Although the suspect or motive have not yet been identified. She said the investigation's focus could change if additional information surfaces. Young was killed just before 6 a.m. Saturday on the 1600 block of East K Street, according to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Her family held a press conference Sunday evening asking sheriff's officials to consider all possible motives, including racial prejudice, and they don't specify the race of hers that more than likely would result to the racial prejudice. Oh man, you can't make it up, man. Young, who had a 3-year-old son, was of Cambodian, black, and Native American descent, and said the family lawyers, Tony Jaramilia. All right, so let's actually just stop at this part right here. All right, and then I'm gonna bring up this article that we have over here, and this article is from Woman's Republic, and it's talking about colorism and anti-blackness in the Asian community. And so you see some women who look like of Southeast Asian descent, and these women are clearly upset because the community doesn't look at them the same because of their dark skin, which is unfortunate. It's one of the issues that we have in the black community, but for whatever reason, people in the black community believe that it doesn't exist and that it's an excuse for women, you know, being ugly per se. And it's clearly not, because if it exists across communities, then it's kind of difficult to say that it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? But again, you know, every community has their own problems, and clearly us as black people have our own, you know what I'm saying? So here in this article, and it's from 4 years ago, it says people who are not white or of European origin are usually placed in the category people of color, which is actually odd because Caucasians, you know what I'm saying, from the old red pill race science, are actually Asians who migrated to the Caucasus Mountains. So how somehow Asians got you know, classified with us when we clearly have our own continent, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, we appear all over the planet, you know, as indigenous, just like Asian people do. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting how white people lump everybody else into a specific group when actually white people have their own distinctions that make them extremely different from the rest of the races, but that's neither here nor there. However, despite this, prejudice exists between the POC groups. So here we go, we're getting called POCs again. People of color. And this often is directly linked to cultural bias and light skin privilege. So they even got light skin privilege, I guess, in the Asian community, which I've actually heard, you know what I'm saying? Like I have a lot of friends who are Filipino and Nepalese, and they talk about how the Filipino and Nepalese people who are of a lighter, you know, skin pigmentation are favored more, you know, more positively than those who are of a more dark or like melanated, you know, pigmentation, which is unfortunate, man. It's sad, man. You know what I'm saying? We live in a world that's messed up. You know what I said about my theory? I think that, you know, interracial dating is a natural phenomenon as we move towards a more global population, because of people being able to mobilize and move all over the place on their own free will. However, these old school color issues are as a result of European colonization and the psychological damage that has been done to the indigenous populations, as well as forced migrant populations, you know, that Europeans came in contact with hundreds of years ago. You know what I'm saying? This is psychological conditioning, you know what I'm saying? Undoubtedly, this is not, you know what I'm saying? This is not the natural kind of interracial relationships or interracial attraction that would occur as a result of increased contact with different cultures. This is psychological conditioning. And I believe that those things can exist in duality, you know what I mean, as a result of what kind of family you grew up in, what kind of culture you grew up in. But at the same time, no, just because you may partake in those activities doesn't mean that you lie to yourself and say that this doesn't exist, because it absolutely does exist. The The people who say that colorism doesn't exist are extremely naive, especially seeing that it exists very prevalent in other communities. You know what I mean? So I believe in this video here, there is a clip. So we're gonna look at this clip real quick. Family of Asian American woman who was killed in Compton calls for hate crime investigation. So they done posted and put this woman as an Asian woman, despite the fact that she's biracial. You know what I'm saying? Now, being biracial, she's not accepted as black in the Asian community. Asian people are very racist. You know what I'm saying? They're very similar to white people in that regard, which is why white people have a lot of emotion and sympathy and can understand the unilateral complaints of the hate crimes. You know what I mean? Because again, delegitimization as applied to the psychological conditioning of nations that have been conquered by European colonizers, it goes from most credible, which is a white person, to the least credible, which is somebody who is darker, which is where you get the saying, I'm white and I say so from. You know what I'm saying? And, I mean, it is what it is. Let's take a listen to this.
Investigating this homicide, but the victim's family fears that it could have been racially motivated, and they're calling on the sheriff's department to open up a hate crime investigation. Heartache and grief have consumed this family over the loss of Sia Marie Zhang of Fontana. A memorial sits where the 28-year-old mother was shot at an apartment complex in the 1600 block of East K Street in Compton early Saturday morning.
She's a free-spirited person.
Look at her family. Look at her family. The one that's not her family, I believe this is the lawyer possibly, or this is a reporter. The only person that's Asian that's there is somebody that's not related to her. So if that doesn't like validate that article that I just read as far as the anti-black sentiment, I don't know why. And then you literally have this black family that's clearly confused, clearly uneducated, clearly way off code, which, hey, it is what it is, man. We're trying to get off code, or we're trying to get on code, which means that a lot of us are, off code and don't even realize it. You know what I'm saying? But motherfuckers are trying to get it together. But I mean, this is just absurd. I mean, you literally have a black family saying, well, this right here is exactly what they wanted as far as the kind of people to get in front of a camera. We're just gonna, not even acknowledge the fact that, she could be the victim of a hate crime because of, being black, despite the fact that there's been a history hundreds of years long of racial discrimination, as well as laws written against black people that current white people, as well as current, people of color say doesn't exist. And see, that's another one of the reasons why they're encouraging so many immigrants to come over here to delegitimize slavery, delegitimize black codes in the Jim Crow South. Because once you have a population that's majority people of color, the people of color will adopt the same talking points as white people. We never did this to you. We never did this to you. Well, the thing is that you're funding a system that has done this to us as far as paying taxes to the United States Corporation of America. So despite your stupid ass talking point, legally that shit holds no ground. But the problem is that, like, Dr. Claude Anderson said, the Supreme Court was created to uphold racism, which is one of the reasons why you will never see one of those type of court cases appear in the Supreme Court. Because the Supreme Court is there to uphold racial prejudice. You know what I'm saying? And this is interesting. This is wonderful right here. The video just decided to disappear. You know what I'm saying? You gotta love that. Vanished. Poof! It's gone. So yeah, I wanted to actually get. Oh wait, here we go. Here we go. It decided to come back. Like this is insane, man. This is crazy right here. Hold on real quick. Try to get this shit popping off. So now, yeah, here we go. We got to deal with some articles or some ads. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got to get this ad shit together. This is dumb. Feel me? All this damn shit. Right,
Department is investigating this homicide, but the victim's family fears that it could have been racially motivated, and they're calling on the sheriff's department to open up a hate crime investigation. Heartache and grief have consumed this family over the loss of Sia Marie Zhang of Fontana. A memorial sits where the 28-year-old mother was shot at an apartment complex in the 1600 block of East K Street in Compton early Saturday morning.
She's a free-spirited person, filled with a whole lot of love and compassion. So it's really hard for me to understand. For somebody to hate her so bad, to want to kill her. I have no understanding at all.
Sheriff's deputies found Zhang bleeding on the sidewalk with a gunshot wound to the lower torso. She was taken to a local hospital where she later died.
We are standing here at the point of death where she ran down, and you could see the trail of...
Now, see, the only way that the Asian community wants to be involved with this woman that got killed is taking the family's money that's actually coming from these black people back here to be the attorney. Well, where's her Asian family at? Where's the Cambodian family at? You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm talking about. And asking where the Cambodian family at is not racist. It's actually exposing their racism. But the problem is that they've become a group of people like, you know, some of the other groups of people that you can't criticize. You can't say anything about. But I am going to say something about this because I'm multicultural my damn self. And I tell you what, man, when it comes to my family, my whole family will be out there. You know what I'm saying? Like all aspects of it, the black, the Latino, the white, you know what I'm saying? It'll be all across Facebook. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I come from that era and I know how people are supposed to get down when it comes to dealing with some shit like this. And this shit don't look right. Where's the Asian family at? You know what I mean? And the thing is that that's that whole colorism aspect of shit. You don't get out of shit because you biracial. That's why I don't understand why so many motherfuckers that's biracial and multicultural do that shit. Like, why do you try to throw away your blackness? Because to be honest, man, if you want to keep it 100% 100, you better treat the black people that's in your family and the black people that's around you and your friends, you better treat them people the best. Because them other communities that you may be a part of, I'm gonna tell you something, man, they don't celebrate how, you know what I'm saying, the fact that you got blackness in you. You know what I mean? They don't celebrate that shit at all, despite the fact that you might have darker skin and, you know what I'm saying, have like a little bit of a natural tan. So everybody's like, oh, you know, you look so pretty. Or you got, you know, the curly hair or, you know what I'm saying, some long hair or whatever. You know what I mean? You got all of those, phenotypes and codons of your genetics from the black side of your family. And for you to try to turn around and disregard that because of some bullshit that the public perception has against black people, man, that's some sucker shit, man. That just shows the degree of loyalty and degeneration and psychological conditioning that people have and shit, man. And that shit is just sad, man. It's fucked up. You should be able to be proud of who you are, you know what I mean? And encompass every aspect of your ethnicity. And if you're a multicultural motherfucker, you need to be honest about every aspect about your culture. You don't put down one element of your culture because it makes you popular and it makes you, you know, be more socially accepted. I don't give a shit what anybody says. As far as the shit that I say, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up around that shit. I've been there. I've seen it. I know exactly what the fuck goes down. And I'm going to tell you something. This is a real representation right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to a lot of the multicultural families, a lot of these other minorities, and even when you have a mixed kid, the families don't accept the kid as an actual part of their family. They literally look at them like a black sheep. But when this woman is dead, though, who is up here with this attorney? Who's out here on the news? Who's doing something trying to ride for this kid? That same aspect of her family that the other, you know what I'm saying, racist ass element of her family doesn't want to acknowledge. That's why it's so important, man. When I tell people about doing, you know what I'm saying, this kind of stuff, you have to make sure that if you're involved in a relationship and you're crossing cultural lines, or, you know what I mean, you're crossing racial lines. Again, I'm not a motherfucker that has a problem with it, but you have to use your better judgment, and you have to make sure that when it comes to a relationship, the relationship goes deeper than just you and that other person. If you and that other person got chemistry and attract, okay, that's cool. But now you have to look at other things like, what happens when I die? How am I going to do my family planning? You know what I mean? How am I going to do this without leaving everybody out? You know what I'm saying? How am I going to advocate for causes and, you know what I'm saying, like make sure that my estate is properly managed and that my estate isn't manipulated in a way where it cannibalizes on all of my culture. Like, I got to make sure that shit is divvied out properly. You know what I mean? I got to make sure that things are properly represented. I got to make sure that I have people that's actually going to represent me properly in my passing. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, you know what I mean? Like, despite the fact that, you know, she got the black family out here with the Asian lawyer, it should be Asian family and black family standing together in solidarity with this lawyer, putting out, you know, a message together. This is a perfect opportunity for black people and Asian people to come together and say, see, as minorities, we have a woman right here who died as a result of, you know what I'm saying, you know, a violent crime. And this is how violent crimes affect all minority communities. So black people and Asian people need to stop with the dumb shit and come together. You know what I'm saying? But this is the media, man. They took this shit, they spun this shit, and this is how it is now. Now you got black people up in front of a camera talking about this woman died as a result of a hate crime. Nah, man, you was in Compton. You was in the hood. You was in a grimy ass area, probably doing some grimy ass shit or looking to find some grimy ass shit. And again, when you're in the hood or when you're in the proximity of the hood shit happens. Like that shit don't have nothing to do with like any kind of political anything other than, you know, if you want to go down the route of gentrification, redlining, and why the hood is the way that it is, running motherfucking highways through shit just to destroy home ownership. I mean, that's a whole nother rabbit hole that we could go through, because that shit is definitely a part of why the hood is the way that it is. You know what I mean? But aside from all that though, if you don't jump down that rabbit hole, if you just look at shit on the surface level, this is a very dishonest news broadcast, man. And it's just sad, man. It's sad that this shit is allowed to go on. It's sad that people allow themselves to be subjugated to this. And it's sad that like when people undertake a multicultural relationship, you know what I mean, all elements of it aren't assessed in order to do contingency planning, or if something like this is to happen, how are things going to be handled? You know what I'm saying? Because this is just a bad look all around. Honestly, man, this is a bad look for both communities. This is a bad look for the black community, and it's a bad look for the Asian community. Because, you know, people like to make fun of black people and say that, you know, black people are not intelligent, but black people are very intelligent. You know what I'm saying? Black people are some of the most perceptive people on the planet. That's why we've been around so long. Motherfuckers want to sit there and talk about how dumb we are, but when it comes to, you know, the laws of the land and natural selection, we've been around this motherfucker for the longest, and we ain't going anywhere other than with human intervention. You know what I'm saying? There's other groups of humans trying to get us off of the planet, but as far as natural selection and, you know, surviving and thriving on this planet, we're actually built for that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like, you know, there's other elements of intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Like genetic intelligence. I talked about sickle cell and how that shit was a adaptation and evolution to protect from malaria, which is something that killed European colonizers, which is why they had to hire African bounty hunters to try to sequester slaves in the sub-Saharan regions. You know what I'm saying? So miss me with the bullshit and all the dumbass talking points. If people ain't pieces of shit, then they should be able to come together on issues like this and deal with them. But this just exposes the prejudice. This right here exposes the lack of knowledge, you know what I mean, and the lack of backbone, and black people calling this out. Because to be honest, if I was this family, I'd be like, well, you should ask where the Cambodian family is, because we here, we love her, you know what I'm saying, and we want to get this shit solved so she can get justice. Now, where's the other family? Because that should actually be the same initiative across family lines. That's what I would have been saying if this was my family member. You know what I'm saying? But see, they didn't say that. They didn't say nothing. They didn't speak up for anything. They didn't say, see, we here. They didn't do a damn thing. All they did was just say, yeah, this is a hate crime. This is an AAPI hate crime. And it's probably more than likely not an AAPI hate crime, man. You know what I'm saying? She's probably the victim of a hood crime, or some money, or some dumb shit, just some ratchet hood shit that, you know, nobody should be subjected to. But that's what the fuck probably happened, man. But this is just another instance of the media taking an incident and spinning it to fit their narrative.
Blood.
Detectives do not have a motive or a suspect, but given that she is of Asian descent, her father being
See, they're gonna sit there and say because she's of Asian descent and she got her whole black, the only Asian motherfucker in that picture was the lawyer. They're gonna sit there and say because she was of Asian descent. You can't even look at, man, there's so many light-skinned people in the world. There's so many biracial people in the world. There's so many Latinos and so many Arabs. You know what I'm saying? It's so many multicultural people, you know what I mean? That's a result of race mixing and shit like that. You can't motherfucking tell if somebody is Asian or not. I mean, you mixed or not. You can look at her and tell that she has, you know, she's multicultural. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I take my kids to the doctor, they do stupid shit like if they ask, you know, are they Asian? Like, no, they're not Asian. Don't you see me? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, they're not Asian. You know what I'm saying? Like, how the fuck they got the last names that they got, and you see they motherfucking dad, and you asking if they Asian or not. Stop being dumb with the dumb shit. But this is the same shit though. The news is literally like getting away with this, talking about this woman is Asian. She's got two cultures. And this is the problem, man. And this is why I brought that Kenya Moore shit into it, because now you're literally just delegitimizing the fact that she has a whole ass black ancestry. That's just like with Kenya Moore. They delegitimized the fact that she has a whole indigenous heritage. And because they say so, she's not. So because they say so, this black family who's in front of the camera don't have anything to do with her heritage and shit. Like, man, get the fuck out of here with that shit, man. When are people actually gonna get tired of that shit? Now you got two schools of thought behind this shit. You got two schools of thought. Like, it's motherfuckers that's like, oh, you know, that's the fucking problem. That's why motherfuckers need to keep the bloodline pure and blah 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 blah. All right, listen, man, I understand that. I get it. I understand why you would say that. I mean, it's not, you know, I don't necessarily agree with that in my opinion, because again, I've stated my opinion. I think it's just a natural progression. But when it comes to dealing with issues the way that they are in America, and when you see shit like this being done, how can you argue with them people that say that? This kind of shit right here that goes on right here literally validates those people who make those talking points. I ain't validating them. Don't get mad at me. Don't sit there and be like, yo, how can you as a multicultural motherfucker sit up there and say that shit? Because I'm watching this shit right here on TV with this multicultural family behaving in a way that mine would never do. That's how.
Cambodian, the family wants her murder to be investigated as a possible hate crime.
This young woman is of Asian descent. We've unfortunately
look at this shit. Look at this shit. She got a whole black family member talking about this woman is of Asian descent. She should have her Asian family saying that. Y'all should be talking about how she's of black descent. And the lawyer just looking like, hurry up and pay. Like, are you for real? Come on, black people, man. Stop doing this shit, man. Please stop doing this shit.
Increase in the murder of Asian women nationwide.
The most recent attack left 6 Asian women dead in Atlanta area.
Like that woman, okay, so like that woman looks like Brandy. So, okay, so that woman looks like Brandy. Like, y'all remember Brandy from back in the day? She kind of looked like Gabriel Union, you know what I'm saying, too, with them eyes and shit. So like, okay, so any, you know what I'm saying, like any black person who has, you know, Asian features, are you now allowed to say that you're Asian and shit? Because now we got to go back and ask, like, wait a minute, because remember we was Kangs and shit. So like, now how's that shit work? Are we now admitting, like, how's that shit work? Like, how are we doing as far as like retroactively applying this logic? You know what I mean? We can apply this logic to a news segment in order to push a narrative, but when it comes to some historical context that educated black people, Pan-Africanists, and all these other and very intelligent brothers have been trying to tell the world all this time, we're not gonna apply it to that shit. So basically, like, when it comes to making fun of black people, we was Kangs, we was Indians, you know what I'm saying? You know, we was Moors and all of this shit. But, you know, now when we actually see like multiculturalism playing out and we see these natural born first generation motherfuckers with these same mixed phenotypes, now you sitting up there talking about, oh, well, this person is an Asian person, this person is, so which one is it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to ask white people that shit. Like, which one is it? You know what I mean?
Area spots. The incident's part of a growing pattern of violence against Asian Americans.
And then they showing them Asian Americans over there, and not one of them is with the family. Them people, I don't even think them people was Cambodian. For real, in that picture. Them people ain't even Cambodian. So, I mean, how's the family not feeling disrespected like that? She's actually got actual Asian people in her family, so like, why not show them? How come they're not dissecting that issue? You know what I'm saying?
We have injustice upon us, the Asian community, and we ask for solidarity among all the communities.
And why the family ain't get a black lawyer? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so if here's how this is the way I feel about this. If this this mixed woman, if she had a family that was not all inclusive, right? Like, if her family don't get along, like, clearly it's divided because the Asian family members ain't standing in solidarity with the black part of the family. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if the woman happened to grow up primarily with the Asian part of the family, then okay, like, that's cool. Like, the Asian family get an Asian lawyer. But why, as black people, would you not hire a black lawyer? Like, the fuck? This is what I'm talking about powernomics and this dumb shit that these old motherfuckers do. Like, man, stop doing dumb shit. Like, old people retire and stay retired. You know what I'm saying?
Stand with us.
So that's it, man. I mean, that's basically enough. We really don't need to see no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we got the point across when it comes to that shit. But that's just it, man. Like, that's what we dealing with out here. That's what we dealing with out here with this dumb shit, man. Family of Asian woman shot to death. And then they got these other Asian people that don't even have nothing to do with this family. Like, you saw what it is. You see who it was. You seen the black family that was out there. The family of an Asian woman who was shot to death in Compton this weekend is calling for a hate crime investigation. Why would you not be calling, if you're gonna call for that shit to be to have a hate crime
Family fears that it could have been racially motivated, and they're calling on the sheriff's department to open up a hate crime investigation.
This is crazy, dude. I'm telling you, these ads are out of control, man. So yeah, but anyway, it says the family of an Asian woman who was shot to death in Compton this weekend is calling for a hate crime investigation. The victim has been identified as Sia Marie Zhang, who is 28. She was a member of a she was a member. She was the mother of a 3-year-old boy and lived in Fontana. Now I wonder where the boy lived, and I wonder if the baby daddy was black. That would be crazy if the baby daddy was black and then they try to get that nigga for a hate crime instead of domestic, you know what I'm saying, like some domestic shit. If it was actually had something to do with him, you know what I'm saying, harming her, you know what I mean? It says, so now they talking about she's biracial. Akeisha Lowe, Jeong's aunt, tells KNX her biracial niece was shot in the torso and died in the hospital. Man, get the fuck out of here. Lowe says she's not sure how Jeong ended up in Compton, but the LA County Sheriff Department says that the woman was shot and killed just before 6 a.m. Saturday on East K Street. Jeong's father is Cambodian. Okay, so the father is Cambodian. Okay, but where the fuck is he? And the mom is black. So the family out here is the mom is the mom's family, and they're black. All right. This shit crazy, man. And they set up a GoFundMe. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I don't wish death on anybody, man. You know what I mean? But they need a little bit better representation. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be out here doing this kind of dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's all I'm about to do. As far as that shit goes, is I'm gonna say she got to GoFundMe. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that you smash the like button. All right. Make sure that you share this video out to all of your social media. Make sure that you hit the about page. Make sure that you follow me on all of my other channels. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a channel strike right now on Blacklight Revelations 2. So I'm mainly posting on this channel, and I'm also posting on the other channel, and I want to get all my channels monetized. So make sure you do that for your boy. Go over there and hit those hit the channel page real quick. All right, and also you can do that shit by hitting the 3 circles at the end of the video. All right, and I got some live videos popping off later on today, so I hope I see y'all in the chat, and I'll catch y'all on the flip. Peace.